by day. Come on, taking it day by day. And here to take us through the day, the Reverend Ken.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming out on an in-between day between the big holidays. So thank you. We are a special community. We're glad you're joining us today. And why we're special is because we don't have any dogma. We don't tell you what you should believe. We encourage you to come up with a God of your understanding, one that that allows you to empower your life, to draw into your life the most joy, the more love, more happiness that you can have. You know, there's only one thing that I ask you to do each Sunday morning, and that is to leave all your wouldas, your couldas, your shouldas, leave that stuff outside, and for a little bit of time, open up an avenue of spirit possibilities. And what are spirit possibilities? Whether for more love, more joy, more prosperity, more happiness, more friendship, more laughter, more dance, all the things in life that make us feel alive, because that's what Spirit is doing through you and through me, showing up in the physical, recognizing itself through our love, our joy, and our laughter. So know you're in a great place this morning, and Spirit is going to recognize and reward you abundantly. Well, I have a lot of announcements. The first one is I want to thank everybody that went caroling with us last week. We went down to the Ponce Rehab Center. We had over 40 people going. We sang and we gave out cookies. It was a lovely, lovely event. We want to thank Reed for organizing that, and he had a lot of helpers, but Reed was the one. There he is. There he is over there. Also, we want to thank Silver Fawn because she did our candle lighting service for us, and that was really spectacular, a great evening. Thank you, Silver Fawn. Next Sunday, we're going to do our burning bowl ceremony. If you want to get rid of something in your life, this is a great way to come and release what you want to release and to set your intentions of what you want to draw into your life. So next week is the burning bowl. Also next week is the start of our circle suppers, and we got Carolyn Lang coming up and telling us about it.
Emails have gone out. The schedules are made. Oh, yes. I need to hear back from you. So if you haven't gotten the email, please go home and check your emails and then get back to me. Part of the instructions in the email are that you get back to me so that I know your phone numbers are correct, your addresses, and your emails. I didn't get kickbacks, so they're somewhere in your emails, unless I have it wrong, which I don't think. But anyway, thank you. We have 48 participants and a few subs, so this is great. And like Ken just said, Burning Bowl next Sunday, and then Sunday at 5 o'clock, you'll be meeting friends for dinner. So I'm excited, can you tell? I hope you are too.
Thank you, Carolyn. And today, after service, we have a special workshop by DeLuna, and she's going to come up and tell us a little bit about it. Come on up, DeLuna.
Hi, everybody. Great to see you all. Oh, wonderful. So today, I've got some goodies made, some wonderful gifts from the earth and from the heavens for us to celebrate and have an infusion of love. I know we all are full of love already, and we're going to top it off even more. And for those of us who feel like we'd really like to have a recharge, this is the place for it. So we're going to be doing the ceremony of the rose, which will be an infusion of love, unconditional love, and compassion. We could all use to deepen our compassion for ourselves. I'm sure that each one of us would appreciate that and support each other in that. So that's at 11:30 till 1 o'clock right here, probably over here, depending on how many people come. So I hope you can come. Thanks.
Thank you, DeLuna. And finally, we need some help with hospitality. If that's something you'd be interested in, helping organize it, bring some special stuff. There's a sign-up sheet by the table where the fountain is, so sign up for that. Well, those are all my announcements. So now we're going to have some great music by Don. Come on up, buddy.
It's been a year since the burning bowl.
Oh.
I have that little, I took that little white stone. It was my first burning bowl ceremony. And I put a reminding word for me, and it's been sitting above, right in front of my computer shelf. And I did, it worked very well. The best of my ability. It was called balance. I'm not sure how that worked out, but it was pretty good. I look forward to that very much. Let me see if I can find this song here. Seems appropriate. Gather round me, everybody. Gather round me while I preach some. I feel a sermon coming on me. The topic will be sin, and that's what I'm again. If you want to hear my story, then settle back and just sit tight while I start reviewing the attitude of doing right. You gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. You've got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith or pandemonium, likely to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said without an accent, you wake the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. Jonah in the whale and Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? They said you better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. You better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Thank you, Don. That was wonderful. And now to get these good thoughts even further into our consciousness, we got Jim Saul coming up to do a reading and treatment. Come on up, Jim.
Good morning again. Before I get started, I have two quick announcements. We have these lovely poinsettias that need a home. So if you're interested, come see me after service and we'll get them into your car. The second announcement is, we haven't mentioned this for quite a while and we have lots of new people. We have a gold box right over there that is our prayer box. If you're having trouble with something, you can go over there, you can write down information, put it in the gold box. I'll take it home, do prayer work for the week. I do ask one thing of it, and that is write legibly. The difference between pregnancy and prosperity is really close. So, this is a free service. Also, if you have some problems that you're dealing with and you'd like to talk to a practitioner, come see me after service, okay? So, I actually kind of dug through some of my old stuff. This was written in 2022. And when I was a child, I had a really, really hard time reading. They found in the second grade that I couldn't read at all. And so they kind of sent me to a special school to get over a learning disability. So that's kind of where this comes from. I first learned to read by finding the word "the" on the pages of a book. Like a treasure hunter, my teacher had me find it on the page full of chaos. I would point out each one as the words became visible on this page full of scribble-scrabble that I could not fathom. In much the same way, I began to find God by finding it here and there within the world. I could find it within the amazing brilliance and delicate nature of an amaryllis flower, for only God could make such a beautiful thing. It awed me, which is what God does. It was there in a puffy floater cloud, in a summer rain, in a brilliant orange sunset. One by one, I began to find a divine presence in earthly things. These earthly things began to talk to me, not in a voice, but in a feeling sense, just as vivid as a human voice. But I had to be quiet inside to hear it. It, the God within the amaryllis flower, might say, "Thank you for watering me. I was really thirsty." This divine presence began to share itself, its presence with me more and more as I began to see it in many places and to acknowledge it. One day, sitting in a wooded area, I got a feeling. I wrote about it just moments later, and this is what I wrote. Every leaf, for as far as I could see, they were all waving hello to me. And I wept. I am convinced that God is here, that it is within and around everything, and we just need to find it within the written page of this chaotic thing called earthly life. Find it, part by awesome part, until it fills your life with awe, reverence, and humility, and then share it, what you find, so all can benefit from your sight. Let's take that idea of its presence and go into the morning prayer. So I know that it's here. I know that this divine intelligence is everywhere present, omnipresence, everywhere. It's within the beautiful amaryllis flower. It's within my deepest struggle. It's within the beautiful teachers and the ones who teach us about anger, fear, and frustration. It's always there. And as our eyes begin to open, as our heart begins to accept, we begin to see this divine intelligence, this really beautiful, intelligent energy fill our life. And as we do, we find a better life for ourselves and for each person we come in contact with. So this week, take that energy, that divine intelligence, that amaryllis flower beauty, and appreciate it deeply, for it is the gift of God. I give thanks for each person here. I give thanks for this center for allowing me to be here. I give thanks for this divine intelligence, for it guides me every step of my day. And I can release this prayer to be so, simply and easily by saying, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That was lovely. So my talk this morning is the sacred pause. Not pause, P-A-W-S. I'm not talking about my dogs again. Sacred pause, and just have this moment. We're in between two big celebrations. And you know, when you go to yoga and they do breath work for you, they will tell you to breathe in and pause, and then when you breathe out, pause again. And they will tell you that this pause is important. So, like I said, we've had these two major celebrations. We've gone through one. We've got New Year's coming up. It's a good time to take a pause. We've just gone through the shortest day of the year, and for most cultures, or many cultures, you know, they believe that this is a special time. This is a time when the veil between spirit and our physical world thins a bit. And for myself, I've noticed there's a lot of synchronicities going on. With all the holiday traffic, I've kept spotting a tag from where my sister, who made her transition, lived, Wayne County, Georgia. And I saw one, and then a couple of days later, I saw one from Ohio, and then I saw another one from Georgia. And people will say, well, what does that mean? Well, I don't know if it means really anything at all. It's just a subtle way Spirit can remind us that there is a power and there's a pattern working for us. And we can use it. We're not here on our own. We're here to co-create with Spirit a life of love and joy. Now, oftentimes when I have trouble sleeping at night, rather than getting everybody in the household disturbed, I will listen to my cell phone. I'll put on YouTube, and I will listen to near-death experiences on YouTube. My niece is just horrified that I would do this, but I find them very comforting. The other day I was listening to one I found very interesting. I'll call him Tony. He was a bodybuilder. And one thing I've noticed about bodybuilders, I don't really know what it means, they're never happy where they are. They always want more and stronger muscles. So he had found the supplement that he wanted, and he couldn't find it here in the States, and so he had ordered it from Thailand. And coming from Thailand, it came with Chinese instructions. And he couldn't read Chinese instructions, so he and his friend just took a regular dose that they would take. And very soon they found themselves not feeling well at all. They decided they would pull into an Arby's. Maybe if they got something on their stomach, they'd feel better. So they pulled into an Arby's. Tony went into the single-use restroom, and he locked the door. His friend stayed outside, and the friend immediately collapsed. And so he was in the lobby area, or where they order, and so he got lots of help. The ambulance came, they rushed him off to the hospital, they pumped his stomach, and he was soon better. Tony was in the restroom, and nobody knew about him. And so he was in there for a good 20 to 30 minutes. The stuff really got into his system. He had collapsed, and he stopped breathing, and his heart stopped. Eventually, some of the customers realized that no one was coming out. They got the manager, they opened it up, and they found Tony there. They called the EMT. Now, on this particular ambulance, the crew, they had 2 veterans and 1 newbie, 1 rookie. And they got Tony in the ambulance. They were working on him. They worked for quite a long time. The 2 veterans decided, he's gone. Let's put him in a bag. We're not going to be able to do anything for him. And they pulled through the drive-thru at Arby's to order something. I did not know you could order food with a dead body in your vehicle. There seems like there should be some regulation against that, but I'll contact the legislator. I just don't know. So they're munching down on their value meal, and the rookie in the back with Tony decided, he said, I just kept getting this idea. This guy's not gone. He's not gone. And so he opened the bag up, and he started doing heart massages, and they got a beat. They got a heartbeat. He told the veterans up in front, they were very angry with him about not following their orders, but they proceeded to do more work on this guy, and they got a pulse, they got him breathing, they got him to the hospital. Now, while he was at the hospital, he was in a coma. He stayed in a coma for a couple of days, and he had this amazing experience. He met his spirit guide, and his spirit guide shared with him many life lessons, and a lot of them I totally agree with. I think they're perfect. They align exactly with how I think things are. One of them, he said that Earth is a school for learning, not a classroom for judgment. Not a classroom for judgment. God is not out to get you. Spirit wants you to learn, to learn how to use your thought so you can improve your life, you can direct your life, you can co-create. Judgment comes really ourselves. We judge ourselves. A second lesson the guy told him is to be yourself. Drop all the mask that society puts on you. Be yourself. This is what Spirit has called you to be, and so you have a right to be here. You will be a better you than you will fake being someone else. And we don't have to be perfect in order to be loved by Spirit. In fact, it's our imperfections that allow us to utilize in the right formula the creative energy so that we can bring about the blessings we are called to bring about. You plus Spirit is an answer to every problem you're going to face. And it's your imperfections that will allow you to be the very miracle Spirit needs you to be. The guide also shared with him that love is our strongest energy. It's the strongest thing in the universe, and it's the key to our spiritual growth. Love yourself, and then love those around you as much as you can. And there's always more love you can give. So many of us worry about getting love. Don't worry about getting love. Give more love, and it will return to you abundantly, overflowing. That's what Scripture says. Shaken down in full measure and overflowing. A third principle he learned was the power of our creative thought. To make sure that we think in a positive, creative way, and it will change our reality. It will change our spiritual progression. Our purpose here is to learn to develop spiritually, to learn to use love and our thought in a way that we can constructively build the life of our hopes and dreams, because your hopes and dreams came from Spirit. And so there's a way for them to unfold in your life. Now, while Tony was in this wonderful place, and he said he was in heaven, he began to hear a prayer. And this prayer was for him to come back to his body. And he said he recognized who was praying. It was his brother. His brother was praying for him to return. And the brother happened to mention that he should return because if he didn't, it was going to break his mom's heart. And he said when he had that realization that him staying in this wonderful place was going to be such a burden on his mother, he decided to come back, and he said in an instant, he was back in his body. He also said some very interesting things. He said dying was easy. He said heaven was his home. He said life is challenging. The guides told him, they said, this is going to be a challenge, but you're going to find support along the way. And he says, he told him the work you will do will make it worthwhile. So this is a challenge. So he's written several books, and I'm going to get some of them. They seem very interesting. One of them is his predictions for the future. Now, at this time of year, I'm kind of susceptible about people who make predictions for the coming year. I got hooked on this back when Sylvia Brown would go on Montel Williams. I don't know if you remember that. And she would make these predictions about, what was coming up. That's something that always interviewed Princess Diana and Charles and, Hollywood stars. And I would just hang on to every word. So I thought, well, I'll listen to this guy's prophecies. I like what a lot he said. And I turned them on, and oh my goodness, the stuff he was talking about, there was no going to sleep after that. Because what he was predicting is just in a short matter of time, 90% of Earth's population is going away. 90% of us. And I don't get to choose the 90%. That wouldn't kind of, if I got to choose, that might make me a little bit happier. But 90% of us. And he says this is going to usher in a golden age for humanity. He says there are going to be true groups, one that lives in harmony with peace and using their spiritual powers to create a balance of environments. They're going to live a lovely life. And he says unfortunately, there's going to be another group that are very aggressive and violent. They're going to live in what remains of our cities. But he said these two groups are going to be on such a vibrational, different levels that they won't interact. They won't even be able to detect each other. And I thought about that when he was sharing all of that, and I thought to myself, I think I saw a movie like this before, and I had. It was called Beneath the Planet of the Apes when I was in the 4th grade. That's this movie he was talking about. Now, it was released it's considered to be the worst of the Planet of the Apes sequels. Not necessarily that there's a good Planet of the Apes sequels, but this is the worst one. And I began to wonder, why are most prophecies about the future negative? They seem to be. You have the book of Revelations in the Bible. That's terrifying. They made me read that in the 3rd grade when I was in religious school. And all through history, you've had people predicting that Christ was coming back, and he's always coming back really, really mad. And, I always say, well, he was nothing but nice the first time he came to visit. Why is he coming back so mad? And then we've had people like Nostradamus. He didn't predict anything good. Edgar Casey, he's considered the American prophet. He healed thousands of people. He really did. He did wonderful work. But his predictions about the future were totally horrible. The Mississippi was going to change course. All kinds of calamitous things would happen. Well, it hasn't come true. And even in literature, we've had George Orwell's 1984. And now, and this is a little disturbing to me, most of our young people are reading literature where the future is dystopian. We don't really predict that things are going to work out. Things can be good. Now, why do we have this? Why is this the case? Well, I think for most people, it comes to an honest reflection of the unresolved fears and doubts they have with themselves. That's what it comes down to it. And we always know that the future is changeable. There's nothing written in stone. We have the power through our prayers and vibrations to change anything. Also, it says in Scripture that Spirit is not the author of confusion. So if we have these ideas about something that looks fearful, we should know there's a way for us to replace it with a better idea. I have a wonderful Christian friend, and if something will pop up that she doesn't like, her little pat statement is, the devil is a lie. The devil's a lie. Now, I don't believe in the devil, but I like that sentiment. You don't have to accept the fearful things that show up in your lives, and they always do. You can replace them with something that's positive, encouraging, something with love and with compassion. And when you take that negative and switch it to a positive, you're in a place of great power. This is when Spirit can really rain down upon you energy and blessings. So why does it seem to be that we have an easier time to accept the negative than believe in our good? And I don't have an answer for it. I'm not really sure about it. But it's something that we need to be aware of. All this negativity invokes fear. And fear is one of the most powerful emotions we have. And when we link our emotions and our thoughts together, we are producing a prayer. Now, we encourage you to pray to bring the good things to your life, love and joy and health and prosperity. But you can also use the same power to create negativity. There's nothing stopping you there. And when you link fear, very powerful emotion, with imagery, you have created a powerful prayer, and it can reflect back to you the hell on earth we have gone through. And there's no need for it. We don't have to do it. What does it say in Scripture? Lo, the thing I feared the most is now upon me. But we can flip the script on this, and instead of bringing things that we are fearful, we can choose to bring love and compassion and joy and happiness. We just have to step up and release the fear. Fear, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. And for some reason, we like it. There's something in us, we enjoy it. My parents, when I was growing up in the 60s, they would get together with their friends, and they would play a parlor game, and it was let's scare the bejesus out of each other. And they would get around and talk about how bad things were and how worse they were getting day by day. For them, the biggest thing that they were afraid of, they saw 3 possibilities about the future. One thing, they had all grown up in the Depression. There was going to be another Depression. Just around the corner, there was going to be another Depression. They were living through the biggest economic boom this nation has ever experienced. But they were looking for signs of another Depression. The second possibility was that the communists from Cuba were going to start pouring over the border and coming and taking over. And if that wasn't bad enough, the third thing that just scared the bejesus out of them was the hippies. The hippies were going to take over. Yes. My parents were horrified at the idea that my oldest sister would become a hippie. And she was off in college at that time, and they really just kind of ruined her college experience because they needed to dominate her so much for fear that she would be a hippie. Now, here was a young lady who was in college. She was doing well. She was studying to be a teacher. She was vice president of the Re-elect Richard Nixon Student Club on campus. And her favorite singing group was the Carpenters. The Carpenters. You can watch so many movies or shows about that time. You never hear anybody say, let's go take a drop of acid and turn on the Carpenters. You know, that just did not happen. Now, why is there so much fear? Why do we? It's a great way to control and a great way to dominate. Fear. Our politicians, our pharmaceutical companies, our spiritual communities, and our news media. They have figured that out. And they're using it to make money, and they're raking it in like they're printing it. Fear is a great fundraiser, a great fundraiser. You know, when we went and toured Europe, the one thing that I noticed, you see all these big, huge cathedrals. How did these things get built? They got built out of fear. We went and toured one of the earliest ones. I can't remember exactly where it's at, but we toured it, and I noticed that on the mosaics, they had a early representation of Christ. And what is he there? He's the good shepherd. And the lambs are just naturally approaching him. They sense his goodness. They're naturally coming to him. Almost 1,000 years later, they built St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice. And what do you have? Where is he? What's he's become? He's now the judge, and he's sending people to heaven and hell, and mainly to hell. They realized how they could motivate, and that's what they were using. Fear. One of my earliest memories that really kind of shook me about people who were fearful and how they could use fear was with my dad, I had gone to visit my grandfather. He was a kindly older guy, an old farmer in Wilcox County, Georgia. There actually is such a place. And we were visiting him, and he was very upset. He had gotten very disturbed. And he was telling my father that the reason he was so upset is that he had there had come through a preacher, a tent revival, and he had gone to listen to this preacher, and the preacher was telling them that the coming year, something really bad was coming. That something really horrible. This preacher did not know what it was, but he just knew, Spirit had told him something really horrible was coming that year. And the year was 1970. And you know he was right, because something really horrible did show up in our culture in 1970. It was the movie Beneath the Planet of the Apes. That's what bad was coming in 1970. What you look for, you'll find. What you look for, you'll find. We don't get what we wish for. We don't even get sometimes what we pray for. We get what we believe we deserve. That's what you're going to get in life, what you believe you deserve. So it's time to get a better idea about yourself, that you're here to live in love. You're here to live in prosperity. You're here to live in joy and hope. You're here to spread those wonderful ideas, to make a conscious decision that you're not going to feed your fears. They're going to show up every once in a while. They'll come knocking on your door, but you don't have to invite them in with tea and cookies. You can send them on your way. Don't give them energy. Instead, deliberately give energy to thoughts that are positive, life-affirming thoughts, things that make you feel more hopeful, more energetic. And then go out in the world and support those thoughts and ideas as best you can. Listen to Spirit how you can do that. And step out in faith, even when it seems a little uncomfortable, particularly when it seems a little uncomfortable. Christmas Eve, I had gone to Publix. It was probably like 4 or 5 o'clock. And of course, it was packed, everybody in there getting their last-minute Christmas supplies. I looked up at the machine that takes the change, and people come in with their big jars of change. And I happened to notice a person standing there doing that I've had some contact with. She doesn't come here, but she works out into the larger community, and she does a lot of great good. She's really a channel for God's blessings, and she's doing good and positive work. And I happened to notice, I thought to myself, somebody who is making change, or has come into Publix to empty out a coin jar on Christmas Eve, is in need of some support. You don't do that on Christmas Eve unless you have a need. So strangely enough, I normally don't I don't carry cash on me, but I had really kind of a couple of 20s that I had just stuffed in my pocket. And so I went up to her, and I was talking with her and chatting with her, and I was able to distract her for a moment, and I dropped those 20s into the change jar she had. And then I scooted on out of the way. Now, I don't know if she had a need for that or not. And it really doesn't even make it doesn't really make that much of a difference. If she has a need, I'm glad that I was able to support her. But the important thing was for me listening to that impulse of love and charity. That's what is important. And by me being able to listen to that, respond to it, and step out into it, there is going to return to me a blessing much greater than a handful of 20s. There's going to return to me compassion and love. And it's not going to come in money, although I'm happy if it does, but it will come in how the world supports me. And that's ultimately what we're here to know. That's what we're here to experience. See, we can know it in the spiritual world, but we're here to experience how much God supports us, how loved we are, how important we are, how we are channels of God's love right where we are. And that's what we've come to do, to stop looking for God's blessing and becoming a blessing from God in this lifetime, on this earth. And let me tell you, friends, the world needs as many blessings right now as it can get. We're powerful beyond our greatest imaginations, and we've got lots of wonderful work to do. Spirit had a wonderful idea when it thought of you. And it created you to be here in this physical realm so you can bring the blessings of your heart and soul, so you can illuminate this world of darkness, so you can proclaim yourself a child of Spirit, and you can go out and make a huge and wonderful difference. You and Spirit have great work to do. And now's the time to step up and do it. Now's the time to raise your voice. Now it's the time to be the person you know yourself to be. Spirit is waiting on you. It supports you. It encourages you. It knows what the great good you can do. And this is the moment. It's the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
There's only about 20 songs I can do.
Do them all.
And so it is, eh? Ooh. An awkward transition. It does. It brings many, many things to mind. I could do accentuate the positive again. Heart of love's on fire, a candle in the night, a spark of affirmation about to ignite. In the face of danger, we will not lose sight of what has truth and meaning, leaning towards the light. So beat on, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, children, companions, new friends and old lovers, and all of the others who stand up and try to do right. It's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight. love remembers lessons from the past, the fanning of the embers and the passions which last. In the darkest hour, burning oh so bright, the heart of love endures and its spirit takes flight. So beat on, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, children, companions, friends and old lovers, and all of the others who stand up and try to do right. It's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight. Ooh, it's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight. So beat on, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, children, companions, friends and old lovers, and all of the others who stand up and try to do right. It's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight. It's well worth the fight.
Thank you, Don. Perfect song. So now we come to the time we support our community, and we support this place because this is really a great place to be. It's a place of hope and love and encouragement. So you can support us in a couple of ways. You can do so in prayer work, seeing this place thriving and going well. You can support us by volunteering. We always need volunteers. And of course, you can support us financially. However you choose to support us, if you will take that intention and place it over your heart and read with me this affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. The ushers will step down. We'll thank you in advance for your generous contribution. Don, I know you got something great for us.
We're going to stick in that love spot. Eh? Haven't done this in a while. This room actually brought this song to me. That kind of love just makes me happy. That kind of love just gets me through. The kind of love I only get from you. And when I feel it deep inside me, I know there's nothing I can't do. And that's the kind of love I get from you. You are the answer to what's ever troubling me. In time of anger, it's as though my heart were locked, but you've got the key. That kind of love just makes me happy. That kind of love just gets me through. The kind of love I only get from you. And when I feel it deep inside me, I know there's nothing I can't do. And that's the kind of love I get from you. I thought I was abandoned and somehow lost my way. Empty heart and handed, and you filled me with your love. And I gotta say, that kind of love just makes me happy. That kind of love just gets me through. The kind of love I only get from you. And when I feel it deep inside me, I know there's nothing I can't do. And that's the kind of love I get from you. sunlight starts my every day. And when my day's done, you're still with me here. And I gotta say, that kind of love just gets me happy. That kind of love just gets me through. The kind of love I only get from you. And when I feel it deep inside me, I know there's nothing I can't do. And that's the kind of love I get from you. That's the kind of love I get from you. The kind of love I only get from you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Don. And thank you, Terry. And thank you for your support. We know your support is going to allow us to continue this great mission of ours, to continue to being that light of hope and love and compassion out to a world in need. So we thank you, we bless it, we release it, knowing it does its good and powerful work, returning to us multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, well, let's end our service with a affirmative prayer. I'm going to do it in the first person, but take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, we'll hold tight to that. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me today. There is but one God and one mind and one power, and that power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. That power created me from itself plus nothing else. So here I stand on the sacred soil of St. Augustine as a channel of God's love. Here I stand with all my little nooks and crannies and flaws, allowing as much of God's love to flow through me as I can envision. So here today in this sacred space, filled with all these wonderful loving souls, I choose to have a better idea for myself. I choose to think of myself as Spirit thinks of me, not as weak and wounded, but bold, dynamic, courageous, going out in the world and making a difference by my power of consciousness, by my ability to choose a better idea. So here today, I know I'm nobody's victim. I am not weak. I am not wounded. I am on a mission from God to bring about as much love and light and creativity and possibility. Spirit and I have wonderful work to do, and it is calling me forth. So this morning, I am choosing to leave behind all my lesser and wounded thoughts. I am lifting my eyes up to a better idea that comes from Spirit itself, that I am here to do mighty and great work. Spirit is not disappointed in me. It is inspiring me. It is encouraging me. It is lifting me up. And so I leave this place today knowing who I am and whose I am. A child of Spirit, here to create great blessings, here to be a great blessing. This is my truth. Every cell of my being radiates this right knowing. And I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, my friends. Oh, I got turned around there. Just want to leave you with one last thought, and that is your life. Your life. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job this week, your job for the coming year is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle Spirit is calling us to be. Until we see each other again, this is Reverend Ken wishing you many blessings.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. I'll put a little love in your heart. that hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart. Hey, and the world will be a better place, and the world for you and me. You just wait and see. Hey, put a little love in your heart. You've got to put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. There in your heart. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope you will decide that kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart. You know that your world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Come on, put a little love in your heart. We've got to put a little love in our heart. Oh, put a little love in your heart. You know we'll put a little love in our heart.